Hey guys, it's me Steven with Today in DeFi. In today's update, I'm going to break down stablecoin supply trends, the leading chains of this week, and hot farms to participate in. So let's dive in. This week, the total stablecoins market cap is amounting to 243 billion, which is an all-time high. Last week, it was below 240 billion, but in the last 7 days, there has been a 4 billion inflows into the total stablecoins market cap supply. And in the last 1 day, it has a 0.15%, almost 400 million inflows, and in the last 30 days it's a whooping 7.6 billion inflows in the total stablecoins market cap. So a good catalyst, but we need to look at which stablecoins are leading the inflows to get more detailed analysis in the market. This week, it's obvious that 1.55% USDT mints happened, and it's amounted to almost 2.3 billion US dollars. Obviously a great change, and in the last 1 month, its net flows are amounting to 5.2 billion US dollars, which is great, especially for Bitcoin, because usually Bitcoin correlates to the USDT mints or inflows in the market. So a very good catalyst for Bitcoin. And USDC in the past week experienced 700 million outflow, and for again USDS, we are seeing a 200 million, 5% increase on their total market cap, which is actually giving out a very conservative vibe from the investors and traders. This signals a more conservative trend because, as I mentioned in the last video, you can gain 4.5% on SkyDollar SUSDS on their vaults. So that's like a fixed rate, and it's really safe and stable. Maybe people are taking profits and putting it into the SkyDollar SUSDS savings rate. We are seeing a traction of 12%. This is quite huge, a double-digit growth. BlackRock's USD Buddle Fund. I think we actually covered this in our news before. MakerDAO invested in their fund that boosted the TVL and the stablecoin market cap of Buddle. And it was 6.5% increase in PYUSD. And if we are looking here in last week's news, there has been actually some interesting catalysts for PYUSD. So Coinbase and PayPal have partnered to invest stablecoin adoption, which involves PYUSD. PYUSD's market cap has been rising, even though the others are not gaining too much traction. Those are the stablecoins leading in inflows. If we're looking on chains, specifically on minting USDT, Tron, in the last 7 days, 1.4%, Ethereum 1.6%, and shockingly, Avalanche almost 10%. I think this is because of some farming incentives we covered in our news before. The main point of our news here is to get you on track. You can see here in our farming section, Euler Finance launched 200k in AVAX rewards on Avalanche. This might be a good farm to participate in if you're interested. This might actually affect the TVL in real time. So looking at the total stablecoin market cap through the lens of the chains, you can see here 0.66% change in Ethereum, 1.3% 7 days change in Tron, which totally makes sense because USDT is primarily minted on Tron, got almost 18% 7 days change, which is really huge. As 2-digit percentage change in BSC is definitely something you don't want to miss out on. So we're gonna look into that more later on. Let's move on to the ecosystem update analysis. So for the major chains, Ethereum, Solana, and BNB chain, you can see some decrease in daily active users in Solana. That signals a slow momentum of active users in Solana. But however, the daily transactions is still quite good when compared to BNB chain and Ethereum. It's picking up slowly in daily transactions, which is good. We need to validate this data with some more matrix, like the stablecoin supply here. So the stablecoin supply keeps increasing. There has been a little decrease in the last week, but the trend overall is good. And I just mentioned a huge increase in the stablecoin supply on BNB, and you can see here a really good trend on the stablecoin supply on BNB chain, which signals something going on this chain. And also Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum has I will not say the worst, but it's not performing as good as Solana and BNB. Total stablecoin treasury volume has been steady in all the chains. In the last week, only Ethereum got a positive performance. Only Ethereum has a positive performance. Overall, the TVL is still recovering for Solana, and it's also true for BNB as well. And this is also validated by the DEX volumes in Solana, which is difference between Solana, Ethereum, and also BNB chain is pretty huge right now. DEX activity in Solana is still really the difference in activity on the three major chains. It's still a big difference, which Solana is leading at. This is reflected on the fees and revenues generated on the chain as well, which is dramatically higher than the other majors. Alright, for layer 1, we got Sonic and Say leading in the good trend in daily active addresses, which signals good activity in the chain. And it's not present in the other chains like Aptos, Bear Chain. Sonic has really good trends, also validated in daily transactions. It's relatively stable on Say network and also quite stable on Sui, Aptos, and Bear Chain, but only Sonic has a good trend on activity. There has been a little bit of recovery on Sui's stablecoin supply, and stablecoin transfer volume has been peaking out a little bit since the huge rush on the price increase last week. The TVL, I think most layer 1s perform relatively stable, doesn't decrease too much. It's still on a consolidation phase in the past 1 week here, except for Say. I think in the last 1 week has a positive increase overall. Probably the worst performing layer 1 right now is Bear Chain, and it's because of the price going a really bad chart, if I have to be honest. And it's also translated in the TVL as well. The only one here performing is only Sui, and it's able to sustain that for the last 1 week. DEX volume has been sustainably high on Sui, and it's reflected on the fees and revenue generated. You can see here, Sonic fees generated is really high when compared to the others. This is a good catalyst for the token. The purpose of us doing the ecosystem analysis like this, to find edges in the market, to find some hidden catalysts on chain, and fundamentally driven price increase and also decrease. And like this, we may find a good opportunity on Sui's price because Sui's price haven't performed as good as the on-chain has been saying for Sonic's price. For layer 2s, there has been a spike in activity and base, just like every other week. The difference of activity on base and Arbitrum and Optimism is a huge difference, and it's able to sustain that. This week, we are seeing a huge spike on daily active addresses on base, signaling some interesting farms. Stablecoin supply have been really good on Arbitrum lately, which is not consistent to their daily active addresses trends, but they're just a good catalyst for Arbitrum. The volume has been high on base. The TVL, however, a little bit of a decrease in the last 1 month for base, Optimism, and Arbitrum. I think in terms of TVL, the best trend we have is Arbitrum. Volume has been bigger on base like always, and same for the revenues and fees generated in the chains in overall for layer 2s. So now for the last part, we're going to track which chains are actually leading in the past 1 week. We're seeing here Flare, Ultron, Unichain, Sony, and Hyperliquid. We're gonna deep dive into Flare. What's interesting here on Flare is that USDT is now live on Flare. This offers you some good APYs by LPing in Flare chain and some protocols there. Spark is one of the interesting protocols in Flare. They offered you some good APYs on stables like this pool right here, USDT against USDC, which gives you 37% APR. This is really huge, and 36% of it is actually on Flare. The Flare token has been raising up lately. This might be a risk because, as you might know, the price of Flare token will directly impact the pool's APR. The next interesting protocol on Flare is Kinetic. So Kinetic is a fork from Compound V2, and it gives you a really good APY just for supplying USDT, USDC, USDT, or even Ethereum for 23%. Most of it is a Flare reward, so most of the dexes on Flare gives APYs based on Flare, so it might be not too sustainable, but either way, it gives you high APY as long as the token's performing quite well. And next, we got Unichain. I think we also mentioned this last week. So Unichain, they have been giving uni incentives in certain pools. What has been trending is still Uniswap. So Unichain on Uniswap, which gives you like cool incentives here. It's almost 10% of stable pairs, 8% on Ethereum pairs. So yeah, really good APYs here on Uni, but the risk lies on the token price. It's not performing as well as Flare, but either way, people are more bullish by quantity here because it's a way bigger protocol than the ones I mentioned, like Spark and Kinetic, carries a lower risk overall. And we mentioned Hyperliquid in the last video about their potential airdrop. One of the cool protocols here is Hyperland. It's actually interesting. Our senior analyst, Brooke, actually mentioned that why it's interesting is actually Hyperland is the only protocol in Hyperliquid that could actually build leverage loan position on Hype LSD. So you can, in Hyperliquid, you can stake Hype, and you got stake Hype, and you can put here, you put your rough stake Hype here for 2% APY by supplying, and you can actually borrow Hype by collateralizing rough stake Hype. So you can build a leverage loan position here in this protocol. So that's why this is interesting. Protocols we covered in our YouTube. Do subscribe and push on the notification bell to be updated with our latest videos and analysis. I think that's it for this week. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.